Hello everybody, welcome back to day 6 of Big Bear Automations. Learn n8n in a year. If you don't know what the series is, then all we're doing is slowly but surely learning n8n from the beginning. I've got 10 years experience and I'm stripping all that away to learn n8n from the beginning with everybody. So go back to day 1. We're already self-hosted, we're ready to go, and we're starting to dig into n8n now. So if you want to go back and look over that, that's probably the best bet. And I will continue with the videos. So today we're going to look at an error that somebody has raised, which is great. So what's happening is for day 5, we did a very simple Gmail automation, very high level, just so that we can see how they work. And at the moment they're getting an error, and that error is because we haven't changed our webhook environment config. We are still looking at localhost, and Google's like, I don't like localhost, so I'm not going to work, which is fair enough. So how we get past that is we're going to go back to our render config, go to our environment config here. You should have your domain set up and everything. You come down into environment variables, and we are going to put in webhook underscore URL, and then HTTPS www. whatever your domain is here. That's what we want to change. So we're going to save and deploy that. And then that will trigger your deployment. So if you go over to your logs, you'll see that it's kicked off. And it's starting the service. What this basically does is removes that localhost part so that everything is starting to look at your custom domain, which is what we need. So things like your webhook nodes will start looking at your domain, your authentication redirects will start looking at your domain, and it just adds that added security. So I'll show you what that looks like. So now we're live. So what that means now is that when you come over to one of your nodes, you want to create a credential, this bit here would have changed. Let's just refresh because it should be HTTPS, I think. Yeah, so refresh that. We'll bring in the Gmail node again. Just to send message. We want to add our credential in. There you go. So that should be it should look like that. It shouldn't be localhost there. So if it's not localhost, if it is localhost, sorry, just follow what I've just done. I'm just going to pause the video quickly just to add Gmail back in again. And then we'll continue what we're doing for day 6. Okay, so day 6, we are looking at, again, just ingraining into our brains the editor, the execution context, how we save, how we activate, and how we test. So we're going to look at saving versus activate. We're going to look at manual versus automated triggers. And we're going to how to run through a test again, how to activate workflow to run live, and where to view the logs, tips, and for managing your workflow list. Okay, so let's look at activating versus saving. So let's say we've done something here. So we've changed our node so that it works for what we need it to do. It would help if I could spell today. We're going to send an email and we're going to test it out. Cool. Right. I've tested it. I'm happy with it. And I want to just save it. Click that. It will now save your workflow and give you another version. So you've got your version history. That's what your saving achieves. So you can come back, go in, come out, and it's still there, right? Like every other save, quite simple. Activating. So activating is a little bit different. So we need a better trigger than this one. And we're going to add in just a standard trigger. Again, don't worry. It's disappeared. Don't worry about what trigger it is. We're going to go through triggers again, but it was there. Don't worry about triggers at the moment, or webhook or whatever. I know that we haven't gone through that, but this is just so I can activate it. So all you do is click activate, and then you can come out and it will still be there and still be active. That means that it's just waiting. Well, in this particular one, it's live. It's going to be doing something if I hit that webhook. Same for the scheduler. If you schedule it and it's live, it will do it on the schedule that you put it into. So it just makes it ready to go. That's all it does. I'm going to take that off. Okay, so manual versus automatic triggers. So manual, again, is probably a webhook. Is a manual thing. You need something to hit it. Automatic is going to be a scheduler. Going to be a schedule in terms of every hour or every 2 hours or every day it does something. Whereas like a webhook or a form submission is something needs to happen for it to trigger a manual thing. Again, we have the manual trigger itself, which is just to test the workflow, but you can't activate it, so you need something like a webhook to trigger it off. How to run and test the workflow and review the execution results. Okay, so we've done this multiple times. We're going to delete that one. We're going to go back to manual trigger because it's easier to test. And we'll save that. So again, for this one, we just test the workflow, goes through the workflow. We can go and have a look at our executions. You can see what's happened. It will load up what's happened. You can click through it and be like, this is the data that was passed. This was the output that was passed. These are the results. This is what's given to it. This is what it tried to do. Again, we've seen it before, but we're just ingraining it. We're going through it. We're thinking about it over and over again. Activating, we've just done. Where to view logs and errors, we've just done. And tips for managing your workflow list. Okay, so it can start getting very messy very quickly in here, especially as a self-hosted version, because there's no projects, there's no real structure to it. So the best way to do it and the easiest way to do it is to just give them all tags. So if you open this up, this one has a tag, learn n8n in a year. So if that was a client, you could call it, I don't know, Big Bear Automation client. And then up here, you can then filter on the tags. So it just gives you that little bit of structure. So if I show you a bit more what I mean, if I do this and call this test workflow, and then you go back over here and there's two, right? But as you can imagine, you could have 50 clients and each one has 10, 20 of these. It starts getting messy very quickly. So what that does then is if you filter, it just gives you whatever you've tagged it in. They can have multiple tags. So if there's things where you want to tag for a client and then tag for like what it does. So for example, normally I have a tag for what it is and then a tag for Gmail if it's sending an email stuff. So then what that means then is that when I come back here and I'm like, actually, I did some stuff with Gmail before, I can filter on that functionality in case I need to go back to refer to it. Again, with and the client name, you can filter on. So tags are your friend, and make sure you do as many as you can to keep on top of it and have a structured filter system. Is the easiest way to keep on top of all your workflows. So that's it for day 6. Very simple, very quick overview. Hopefully the error at the start fixes whatever happened with your Gmail. Again, I do this all the time. So if you're a business or you need an admin or you need someone to help implement your n8n, please reach out. Email address is on the screen. If you want to just give me a shout, then please do. I'll add my website into the description as well. But yeah, look out for day 7. Cheers, guys.